shit. Oh, shit.
Well, that was a good start.
Hey,
Hey,
how's it going?
it's going. You know, things are
Sure do.
happening. Days are passing. So yeah, how are you?
I am, well, I got my COVID vaccine, first dose, yesterday.
Yay! Joining the club.
Yeah, it was lovely. My arm was very sore. I didn't believe people who told me that my arm would be sore.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't believe them. And then literally it felt like I was sleeping on a softball. Like when I rolled over, I was
Right.
like, oh, like I was very surprised.
So mine, I couldn't like lift my arm past like
Yep.
here.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to do that. But so I forgot though, because since I'm a restaurant worker, like that's why I was able to get the vaccine.
Ah, yes.
Um, well, I basically rolled out of bed and went to go get the vaccine, and I forgot to bring proof of where I work
Oh my god.
and proof of my address. And I show up there with like my little printout that says my appointment, and I just like hand them my ID, and they're like, okay, but like, how do we know that it's okay for you to be here? Like, we need proof of this. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot my W-2. Like, I couldn't believe I forgot it. And I'm like doing the math in my head. I'm like, I don't have time to go all the way back. Like, and they're like, it's okay. Just look, like, do you have an email from them? Or like, are they on social media? And well,
I was gonna say, aren't you in pictures on their social media?
I am the new face of the restaurant. That is true. That has been said. But yes, I am on their social media, and I was just on it recently, and literally like it's just a picture of my arm holding a cocktail, but because of my tattoo, I like pulled my sleeve up and I was like, "That's me." And they go, "Oh yeah, that works." So I thought that was so funny that I literally was like, how do I prove that I work here? And I'm like, this is me, this is my arm. So that was my excitement this week.
That is pretty impressive though. They're like, oh yeah, that is your arm. That works. Okay.
Yeah, and then they're like, do you have any proof of your address? And I was like, and then
Amazon.
They literally go, what about your Amazon or like Etsy orders? And I was like, well, just ordered stuff like this week actually.
See, there you go. So, are we ready?
Are you ready?
I'm always ready, Bia.
Okay, well, you said that this was a doozy?
A doozy, indeed.
I was like, what word did she use? Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
doozy.
You said it was a doozy, so I'm excited. I'm ready for a doozy. I'm not dozing for a doozy. I'm doing.
No.
I don't know. Okay.
Okay.
I was trying to pick a more active verb.
Whew. Okay. So, sister, I wish you would not listen to this part because I'm going to give a warning to everybody else who's listening.
Yeah, but don't I need this warning too?
No, because I can see what you're doing. Probably not a good idea to eat food while hearing this.
Ew, so it's going to be really gross.
I mean, you know, we'll see, okay? This was actually, so, you know, we talk about our name and like, oh, it's like things we wonder about when we research into. And like, I honestly, this was one of those things that literally just came up out of conversation with somebody. And I was like, what the actual fuck? I never thought about this. So I did a bunch of research and also harassed my friend a ton for details. Yeah. Okay. So are you ready?
I don't know, but I suppose I am prepared.
All right, I'm going to set the stage, okay?
Heard.
So, you open a metal door, right? And in front of you is a room with ominous white walls. What my friend calls loony bin white walls.
Are they soft?
I don't think so.
Okay.
with fluorescent lights and only one window. And I like to picture the fluorescent lights like flickering a little bit. You hear the loud buzzing, you know, like the buzz, buzz, buzz. Yeah, that.
How does that go?
Buzz, buzz, buzz. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, in this ominous white room with flickering fluorescent lights and only one window, and if you look outside the window, it's always storming, by the way. This is how we're setting the stage, okay?
Okay.
So there's 3 rows of desks, these big metal desks. And on top, there's a bunch of flasks and knives and weirdly different colored inks, like a little rainbow. And, you know, there's also these carts that are next to all of the desks, right? Then you make your way through this dim, dingy, like really depressing looking room with all these desks and all this equipment, right? And in the back, there's a storage room with industrial shelves. And on the shelves are clear labeled jars of varying sizes. And in the jars, floating in the clear liquid, is an array of different body parts.
Yum.
Yep, exactly, this is quoting my friend, exactly how you're picturing without the eerie green glow. And as you walk back out into this main room, you see that the carts that are next to the desks are also full of body parts. And by body parts, I mean colons, pancreas, gallbladders, appendixes. My friend says if it gets cut off of you, we are going to keep it as a souvenir.
Oh no! Oh no! This is real.
This is real. Anything amputated, fingers, feet, toes, legs. In fact, there is a whole fridge full of legs that smells like death and decay.
Oh my god.
Yep, and this is a real place.
I have never thought about this ever once. Thank you for a new nightmare.
You're welcome.
Wow.
That's what I'm here for, sister.
Oh my gosh.
So would you like to guess what kind of place I am describing?
A hospital?
No, not technically.
Adjacent, hospital adjacent office, the
Alright,
amputee wing. I bet it's like in a separate building, like maybe like across the street, and it's super dingy, and it's like part of the hospital, but it's like the amputee wing, and it's like dying out there. Yeah, get it.
I like that a lot. Yes, that's good. So this is actually a pathology lab.
Makes sense.
Okay, wait.
You know, they don't show this on Rizzoli and Isles.
No. We're going to talk
Like,
about
I'm
all the things that they don't
but
show.
also, woof.
Yeah. So it's a pathology lab. So in this lab, they receive all the fluids or physical parts of people that have been removed for testing. And when I say all of the fluids, you know, you think like urine, blood, whatever. But there's also
so
like
upset.
abscess fluid.
Stop. Oh, no.
Fluid from the lungs, fluid around the heart, you know, like all
he's got
kinds of
fluid.
things.
Oh, my God.
So, in this lab, there are 3 main clinical areas. There's the main receiving area, where said body parts are delivered. There's an area called gross pathology, and LOL, I feel like gross is ironic, but that's not what it means. And I don't know how to say this.
What does it mean?
I'm going to tell you in a second.
Okay.
Cytology. So those are the 3 main areas, right? Gross pathology. So we're going to break down gross pathology. Pathology is a branch of medical science that involves the study and diagnosis of disease through examination of surgically removed organs, tissues, bodily fluids, and in some cases, the whole body, like autopsy. That's technically pathology. However, gross examination, it says the macroscopic examination of organs. So basically what you're doing is you're describing the size, the shape, the color, the consistency of tissue. You know, you're doing it you're performing a quote-unquote examination with your senses, except for tasting. Don't do that. That's gross.
Oh my God. Thank you for that clarification. And
You
also,
are so welcome.
oh.
So they also get...
It's giving me the chill.
Yeah, so they also, in this gross examination, they get patient/organ info, the anatomical site, like where it was removed from, description, and then they cut the tissue into blocks or other samples sizes for different diagnostic tests. I apologize. That's Yahtzee. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't want to.
Okay, and cytology, I'm probably saying this wrong, I'm so sorry, is the testing of fluids. So, like I said, normally urine or blood, but also abscess fluid, any other fluids that happen. Okay?
Okay.
So, my friend who works here.
You know someone who works in a pathology lab?
Because
oh no, I'm sorry.
They told me what happened to them that day. I asked them how their day was, and they told me, and I was like, where the fuck do you work? Are you in, like, Frankenstein's laboratory right now? Because that's what it fucking sounds like. Okay? I mean, I think it does. It does sound like that.
I am Kevin McAllister over here.
I know.
am just shocked.
When she's not making grossed out noises, her mouth is doing a perfect O of, like, a silent scream as she holds her tiny face.
Yes. Just me painted like the Scream painting. Or mouth hanging open like a codfish. Oh my God.
When a specimen comes in, specimen as in body part, my friend checks the labels, make sure they have the right specimen, process into the lab system, like make a medical case, set up all the cassettes and flasks for each test, and then doles them out to either the gross pathology or the cytology sectors of the clinic. And then the people at those two different areas, I think it's the assistant pathologists, do like the cuts and create slides from the tissue and stuff like that. So when my friend was telling me about this, he was like, yeah, so they cut them into different blocks and sizes for the test, and they cut open to see what the tissue looks like, different levels, and blah, blah, blah. So they also use ink to, like, quote unquote, label the organs. So it's like, you know, you can't put like a sticky label on the organ. So that's why they have all those different colored inks. They'll use it to help them know what is what or what to look for, or it helps them when they're running tests I think to help stuff stand out more, I would guess, based on my rudimentary knowledge of the past day and a half. And so, yeah, like I said, all this stuff includes fingers, colons, placenta, anything amputated, breasts from breast cancer or preventative surgeries, tons of hearts, lungs, or gallbladders, etc. Like, the list goes on and on.
Oh my gosh.
The part that got me talking to my friend about this was that he told me that where he works has a fridge of legs. He said there's a fridge of about 15 legs, and they're amputated legs mainly used for testing on diabetes. So I think I might be very wrong. I know that having feet amputated can be a side effect of diabetes, but I think it has to do with, like, diabetes messes with the blood flow, and so your foot just essentially starts to die. Unlike most of the other things in this lab, so most of the other things in this lab get put in formaldehyde, or formaldin, I think is what it's also called. Yeah. So you don't really, it freezes it. They call it fixing it, quote unquote, because it stops the decomp and it leaves it at that stage. Well, the legs are not put in formaldehyde, and they decay. And they're not put in a freezer. They're put in a fridge, I think. And so that doesn't stop the bacteria. And because these limbs that have been amputated are already rife with bacteria from essentially dying before they were amputated, the decay process speeds up a lot.
Wow. So why do they keep them if they're decaying like that? And what do they do with them when they're done with them?
Destroy them?
I was going to say there's probably like an incinerator situation.
Yeah.
Oof.
They keep the legs and everything else for 3 months so that the doctors can do additional testing if necessary. But as I said, because these legs are just kept in a fridge, you can smell the decay, right?
Oh my goodness. I don't understand how, I mean, like, mad respect to people who, like, are pathologists and are, like, researching things to help us all be better together. That sounded like a weird...
We're
Anyways.
all in this together.
Oh, man. Yeah, exactly. But seriously, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
good for you. I don't know how you do it. I have no idea how you do it, but
Yeah,
good for you.
It
Oof.
sounds very intense.
It sounds very intense.
And not something that I would ever consider doing. Like, no thank you. Like, I still can't get out, like, 15 legs and feet in a fridge. 15, okay? And they're anyways. And so, example, he had a foot come in that was particularly bad, right?
Uh-huh.
All the toes were black and there was pus and ooze coming out.
Oh no.
When it was amputated. So 24 hours since there was already infection present, it sped up the decay like exponentially because of
no.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, props to him for doing a job like that, and he says he finds it gross but interesting. So like, cool. I'm pretty good without having that in my life. But I do have some anecdotes for you.
Wow,
Are
and
you
I
ready?
thought the bar mats were gross.
The what?
Bar mats.
Oh no. It gets
no,
worse.
No.
No.
Oh no.
Okay. This one. Why did I drink something? That was so stupid.
I don't know, but I'm gonna drink something. I'm scared.
No,
though.
you're gonna regret it. Don't do it as you continue to drink. Ew, you even slurped.
I did not. Did I? I'm sorry. Let me write.
Okay. As I was chatting with this person catching up, he says, yeah. I was like, so what other kinds of stuff do you get? And he's like, well, we got a giant worm. And I'm like, really? Where'd you get that from?
The ground,
And
I hope.
And what do you mean by giant? And he says it's 6 inches long, so it's like a $20 bill, right? Yeah. The patient had peed it out. And he said it looked like a long white spaghetti noodle.
Oh no!
Uh-huh.
Oh no! No!
Yeah,
No,
apparently this...
No. And I don't think $20 bills are 6 inches, by the way. But no.
I'm pretty sure that they are. 6
Yeah.
inch... Okay, we'll do that later.
Okay.
But yeah.
6? Okay.
6-inch worm that he
Oh.
had peed out.
Oh no. Oh no.
And apparently this type of worm is very...
How thick was it?
I did not ask because I did not want to know.
Okay.
He said
sorry
it
for
looked
asking.
like... He said it looked like spaghetti, and I left it at that.
Ah, okay. That
Yep,
paints
yep.
a picture. Okay.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yep. So this particular type of worm is very common in lakes in some parts of Africa and Asia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we know, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you remember. But there was a couple of kids that died from bacteria. No, it was an amoeba from a lake.
It was amoebas, yeah.
But yeah, this definitely increased my fear of lakes.
Yo,
which is
I have a
bummer.
healthy fear of all bodies of water, but definitely lakes. There is a lake that is near me, and it's really, really pretty, and but it's pretty clear. So, and it's very, very deep. And how you can tell it's very deep is you can see the edge where it just drops off. Mm-hmm. Cool, thanks, bye.
Yeah. I don't know. The one body of water that I did like, although it was very cold, are the springs in Florida.
Those I do like. You know why? Because the water pushes you out.
Yep, and you can see everything.
You can see everything, and you're not going to get sucked in.
But also, bodies of water are terrifying for the tiny microscopic parasites that we can't see. I don't know,
oh my
that
gosh.
one.
Yeah.
That one really messed me up when I was a kid. I think we were like 13, and we had just gone swimming in a lake in Florida too. I don't know why. Or I had. And then this kid who had done a similar thing, like, got sick and died in a couple of days. It was terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was my first dose of maybe not lakes.
I mean, like, I was
and
afraid
then
of...
I went to the beach a bunch, and I touched a bunch of sea creatures, and I'm like, maybe not the ocean.
You know what's funny is, like, I was initially terrified of lakes in Florida because of the gators, but then that changed quick.
No, I'm down with the rivers, and I'm down with the gators. Why do we always end up talking about Florida?
I know. Apparently, it made its mark on us.
It really has. But yeah, no, gators are chill, man. Oh, did you see the video? Did we talk about this? So I got our parents a wildlife camera, like, for Christmas, like 2 years ago.
Yes!
And they finally put it up. Good for them. I'm very happy. I had forgotten about it too. But they put it up right on the trail, like right on the trail, which is not that far from the house.
Like,
It is
really
not
close
very
to the
far.
house.
It's
Yep.
some yards. And
Some yards.
it's within eyesight from the door. It is close. And yeah, and so at 3 o'clock in the morning, I think it was the first night they put it out too.
It was, yep.
That's insane. And they caught a wolf.
Like a wolf.
They didn't catch a wolf. The camera caught a wolf.
They
to be
caught
clear.
a wolf with their
And they
nets
just-
in the trees.
Just
Yeah.
grabbed it.
But
Oh my god.
the way we know it was a wolf and not just a coyote
There
or
are
a coy
coyotes
dog.
up here. I'm done with that.
But the reason why we know this is because a deer passed by that camera not 10 minutes earlier, and this wolf was the same fucking size as the deer.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Someone,
No
was it
thanks.
Mom?
Yeah.
She was like, "Isn't that scary?" And I was like, "No, wolves are cute. They're cool. You know, it's like as long as you're not like trampling their young or like
Yeah.
antagonizing them, I think it's okay."
Do you
And
know
then
what oops, sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
I was going to say, do you know what I told Mom?
What?
I was like, oh, look, now you have a property guardian.
Yeah, I know, right? She was like, "We need a bigger dog." Well, turns out you got a bunch, actually.
Yeah.
Also, the wolf was walking toward the house, and this
Yep.
is my second encounter, not counting like finding tracks of wolves in the snow.
Ooh,
but
which was
second like
intense.
real encounter with a wolf since I've been up here. And do you know how many people I know who have lived up here their whole life and have never seen a fucking wolf?
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, I like completely. So we're
No,
talking
no, no.
about limbs and fridges.
Well, actually, we were talking about giant worms, and I had to get...
Oh God.
You're welcome. So I had to get this quote from my friend. I was like, I cannot get over the worms. Like, how common are they? And he's like, actually, they're not that common at all. It was pretty new for me, and he's been working there for a while, and it was huge. And he's like, then he continues, butt worms are super common, though.
No.
And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, lots of people have GI worms, as in like gastrointestinal.
Yeah.
And then he goes, you probably do too.
Wow. Wow,
I was like,
dude.
what? And he's like, haha, good night. I'm like, haha, you're the worst.
Okay, guys, so we all just learned together as a group that apparently we all have worms, so that's cool. Thanks.
Yay.
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure I don't.
Don't jinx yourself.
God damn it.
Yep. So, another one that he told me in this conversation, he said this weekend, so on the weekends, I think he works in the lab by himself, and he said he had to process a whole rack of placentas.
Ooh.
Uh-huh. And
I'm like, yeah, you did. You go, girl. No, I'm just kidding.
and yeah, so he has to like do the in processing, put them in the database, get them prepped, all that fun stuff.
That's giving me Phenomenon vibes.
I know, right?
Blah, 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 blah.
I feel like that was like the Galaxy Quest alien noise.
That was- Oh my God, that was gorgeous.
Thank you.
You
I
are
tried so hard.
Precious. I love it.
So yeah, he said he has a whole rack of placentas, like 10 to 15 placentas to process for any potential issues. And then with the placentas, they are either discarded or they go home with the mothers.
Okay, good, because I was really scared that you were going to say eaten, but we know why. They're going home with the mothers.
They're going home to get eaten.
To be,
I don't know why that makes you feel better. It's either they like eat it outright or they cook it down and put them into pills to then eat them.
Oh my god.
Apparently it's supposed to help with postpartum depression. I mean, girl, I guess whatever helps get you through that.
You didn't eat your placenta?
Fuck no. Also, the male counterpart at the time, when he saw that, was like, ew, that's so gross. It looks like an alien. I was like, thanks, douche.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody recently about babies. And they were like, oh, not for me. That's really gross. And then they go, oh, sorry. And I was like, no. It is, in fact, actually very gross. I mean, like, good for you. You know, you birthed a life, and that's nice and hooray.
Oh, no, it's very gross.
That is, like,
and there's so many gross
terrifyingly
things.
nasty
Okay,
to me.
so this
and
is
just horrifying, mostly. Just horrifying.
And this is the other thing that kills me, and this is what happened to me when I was pregnant, is like, everybody's like, oh, it's such a beautiful process, it's so wonderful and magical and blah, 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 blah. There's so much gross stuff that they don't tell you until you're already in it. And they're like, haha, get ready for hemorrhoids or anal fissures. You're welcome. Bye.
See, this is the thing that people need to know out there. If you're trying to have kids, just learn about it all. I'm just saying, be aware. I think that's my philosophy. Shut up. Stop it. I don't like those two words put together. I understand it's a thing, but we need a new name for it.
Mini flaps.
Nope. No, thank you.
Okay, so I won't gross you out with that specific example anymore.
Oh my gosh, now I'm thinking of, like, mini flaps as, like, a roaring 20s tap dancer.
That's a much better way to go with that. I like it. So, in this lab, one of the many things that they get, which, is encompassed by the anything that's cut out of you or off of you, we get.
Love that category.
Yeah. He was telling me about the first time that he got an eyeball.
Ugh.
And so
I weirdly would be interested in, because eyes I just find very interesting, but also I don't want an eyeball.
Just wait. So, he said that the eyeball wasn't fixed, which means that it wasn't in formaldehyde yet, and it was in really good external condition. He said it was probably removed for some sort of vascular issue, and it was pulled less than 30 minutes before my friend received it.
Oh my goodness.
So it literally had just been in somebody's head. And he picked it up and looked at it and realized, and he's like, I had this really surreal moment where I realized that I was looking at somebody's eye that had been in use not that long before. Like a Friends episode of Time, previously it was in somebody's head working and somebody could see out of it.
Previously on Friends.
I know.
This eye.
Yeah, and then 2 days later, my friend also in-processed a foot from the same dude. Yeah, he lost his foot due to severe diabetes.
Yo.
Yeah. And he felt bad because he's like, I just kept checking in all this guy's body parts that were getting taken from him. But yeah, he said, like, bizarre. It was so weird because the eye looked like it was in perfect condition. It was bright blue, and it looked like it should have been staring back at him. But obviously it had been removed, so it's not working anymore,
Yeah, but what happens when it's not working anymore? What do you mean? Like, it's just an eyeball, right?
Well, I mean, they took it out of the person's head, and it's not connected to, you know, a blood flow source or any brain to
saying,
tell
like,
it what to do.
some part of it was like, beep, boop, I'm off now, you know?
I mean, if I was an eyeball, that's how I would act, personally. But, you know. Beep, boop, I'm off. Hey, there's our sign-off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Beep, boop, I'm off now.
I wish you guys could have seen her face. He also, and I'm grouping the eyeball experiences together. So this one you're not going to like.
There was more than one.
Yeah, this one you're not going to like, so I'm just going to warn you. The other eyeball experience was that they had an eyeball that came in of a person that had parasitic worms in their eyes.
No.
And he said he could see the worms coming in and out of the cornea. If he looked closely.
Oh.
Yep. My friend was telling me about this one time.
Uh-huh.
He got a new leg that he had to in-process.
That just sounded funny.
So he's putting the leg into the leg fridge because there's a leg fridge
that's where they
in this place. Yes, I know. Like, that's one thing that I still can't get over. Like, I know there's a whole bunch of other gross things, but there's a whole fridge dedicated to legs. It's so weird.
Did you ask him to describe the fridge?
He just said it was a fridge full of legs.
Yeah, but I'm thinking if he's in a lab or if he's in like a commercial, you know, a building, you know, they're going to have like a decent sized fridge. You know,
I mean,
this
if
isn't like your regular fridge.
Well,
this is a good size, you know?
So he said like 15 legs, which I love you, friend, but knowing him could be anywhere between like 10 and 15. But still, when you think about 10 legs, like, think about how much space that takes up.
What I'm imagining is like, you know, when you like go to like a little convenience store or something, or a gas station, and they have those like coolers where all the beverages are in.
Yeah.
And instead of there being beverages, it's just like a little cooling rack, and they've got like little trays of legs.
Legs. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm picturing too.
Yeah.
Yep. So he in-processed a new leg and was putting the new leg into the leg fridge. So he moved some of the other legs aside to make room for this leg.
Oh boy.
Uh-huh. When he pushed them, one of the bags popped and all sorts of fluids came pouring out all over him.
Oh, dear.
What he called a blood and pus mixture.
Oh, I know who this is now.
Probably.
Hi.
I was going to say, shout out to them.
Shout out, hey.
So then, he also had to deflate a bag of another leg to make more room because the bacteria had gone to work so much that a bunch of gases had released and inflated the bag. So he punctured it.
Oh, no.
It let out, quote unquote, all the dead leg air into the lab.
Oh no, dead leg air lab.
Yep. Yep, and then
the DLAL.
I know. And then he's like, it wasn't quick. It took like 5 minutes. And
5 minutes for what?
For all the dead leg air to escape. So
wow.
Deflated enough. And he says, death has this horrible sweet smell that lingers on you for hours. He also said now he could, yeah, right. He also said that now he could probably smell a dead body from like 50 miles away because he's so familiar with it. Yay.
Wow. Interesting trick to have up your sleeve. You know what I mean?
Right?
You always think you know what a dead body smells like.
But
I've smelled a dead mouse before. And I've had to run past a dead deer, but amazingly, I did that with my breath held.
Nice. That's impressive, actually.
Yeah, I nearly died, but...
Okay, well, maybe don't do that, okay?
It's okay. I stopped running.
It's not a cute look, and I don't like that for you.
Yeah.
So we got 2 more anecdotes, then we're done.
Okay.
Aren't you so excited?
I am.
I'm leaving the best for last.
Oh, Lord.
So this is another interesting anecdote. They got a brain in which,
Oh, that is interesting. See,
This-
again, brain and eyeball, I'm like,
yeah. So this dude, loved him to death, but he also followed up the story with, like, referring to brains. Those are always from dead people. As if they would be from alive people? Like, come on.
I was like, geez, Sarah, cut them some slack. Of course they're always from
No.
dead people. But then I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd be.
Like, a little offended that you felt the need to clarify that for me, but it's fine. I won't, like, take it to my grave or anything. Don't worry.
I don't know. It got me questioning it. I was like, oh, well, I guess. And then I was like, wait a minute.
Yep. So brains are usually there if there's something pathogenic. Examples he gave, or there's other stuff like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, brains with tumors. They run tons of tests on them to see the progression, study the disease, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this particular brain came into the lab and was suspected of having a prion disease, which is like mad cow disease, essentially. Or mad cow disease is prion disease. So prions are misfolded pathogenic proteins that cause lesions to build up in your brain by causing your regular proteins to copy their shape. It's incurable and fatal and usually passes through human consumption, which that's how people get mad cow disease, because a cow has it, and then they eat the beef, and then they get the mad cow disease.
Right.
In other countries where they practice like ritualistic cannibalism, it can be an issue as well. Because if the person had it, then they eat them, and then it gives them the thing.
Wow.
So, in the lab, whatever it touches has to be destroyed. So, the way he described it to me is that he saw this brain sitting on a table, which I'm assuming it was in a container, but, like, who knows? And he's like, dude, why is this thing out? Like, it's suspected of having a prion. They have to destroy everything or anything it touches.
Wow.
Because it's so contagious.
Yeah.
So they said
That's
they had to
crazy.
they said they had to get rid of a whole station once the brain was analyzed. So it was like desks, tables with all their tools and knives and like inks, everything had to be destroyed because of this one brain, which is super interesting to me.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to end on a beautifully titled story, which he labeled The Christmas Colon.
The Christmas colon?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
So, he was working alone on Christmas and came in to a tote already waiting for him. Already waiting.
Already waiting for him.
That's what I was really trying not to do. So he opened it to find a giant container that had, it's called a rectosigmoid resection, a part of a colon, but it had burst from the container.
Like it leapt from the container into the room, or?
I would assume that gases probably burst the container.
Oh,
that would be
wow.
my assumption, but I don't know.
Okay. So close.
Yeah. So it was in formaldehyde already, but, you know, obviously the rectum is where stool is stored.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You just, wow.
Yep. So his Christmas morning consisted
Oh,
of...
no. Oh,
Yep.
no.
I know. Of picking up this colon, reorienting it and properly containing it, and then adding more formaldehyde and getting it set up for tests. Then he had the joy of cleaning up all the blood, formaldehyde, and stool that had
Wow.
escaped the original container.
Wow.
He said he didn't throw up, though, which I'm impressed with. I said, "Did you gag?" He goes, "Yes," immediately, repeatedly, pervasively. But no throwing up. So good for him. This guy's
Wow.
he's a trooper.
I don't know how you could eat anything working in
Ever?
that job ever. Like I wouldn't want to eat before work because I might lose it. I wouldn't want to eat after work because I
Because,
just got done
yuck.
working.
Also, then, like, how do you look at other people and not see the horrors that you've seen at work? Like, you look into somebody's
Yeah, that's a
eyes,
big
like,
one.
lovingly, and then it looks like the eye of somebody.
The eyeball.
Yeah, that whose eyeball you had in your hand. Like, I feel like, nope.
That's so funny. I did not know
Yeah,
that
so, like,
they did that.
yep, and so, like, you know, when I was sick, I obviously had a lot of tests run. But when, you know, most people normally have, like, blood or urine or whatever.
Yeah.
But I never thought about all the other types of tests that they do. Or, like, you know, you think about biopsy, but it's, you know, I picture, like, this little tiny bit of skin
Yeah.
that's taken and, you know,
Like
put
enough for a
neatly.
slide.
Yeah, put neatly in a slide. Where instead, it's not like this, where it's like organ and amputee chop shop, because they cut
Oh
them
my
into like
God.
cubes for like, or slices or whatever the fuck for analyzing and stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, I learned a lot of new and gross things over the past couple of days.
Well, thank you for sharing them with us.
Yes, thank you, friend.
Yes, thank you, friend.
We greatly appreciate it.
We do. I had no idea. And also, wow. Wow. I stand by everything I said earlier. Like, mad respect, but also just like I really cannot fathom how one does such things.
And then my thoughts. I didn't ask him this because I hope this has never happened to him. But what if you're working in a pathology lab, which I'm sure this isn't the case, but I feel like maybe it's happened once, and like you get your grandma's amputated foot.
Oh my God! Stop! No, there has to be. Oh wow! No! Oh my gosh! Well, we hope that doesn't happen to you. But like,
Or what if?
or
Okay,
anyone. Oh, but can that even happen?
I don't know. I didn't want to ask him because he had to keep working, and I was harassing him enough. But then like, you know, what if the guy who peed out a giant worm, you're like, ugh, it's so gross, and then you recognize his name.
Well, it's a good thing that people who work in pathology labs like don't also moonlight in restaurants, because that could happen.
Also, fun fact, I tried to do research on my own, too, in addition to talking to my friend, and I could not find anything about the specifics of, like, what is in a pathology lab. They talked about the inks a little bit. Oh, my God. I read this article that was like, it's so beautiful with the rainbow-colored inks. And they neglect to mention all of the, like...
Actual shit that goes on.
Yeah. Like
I
said
wonder
in the...
at what point in school... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and like I said in the beginning, you know, it's body parts in jars in clear floating liquid.
Yeah.
I.e. exactly how you're picturing it, except without the weird, eerie glow. Like, isn't that nuts?
Yeah, I don't know. That is crazy. Yeah. I don't personally think that I would be able to do that. So I'm glad that there are people out there who can.
You know, like, whew, that's, no. I'm good.
No is right.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a doozy.
So yeah, thank you to all of the pathology labs out there that help
Yeah.
us advancing medical science, and also, you know, in making sure that a whole fridge of legs is clean and organized. Because, you know, apparently somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Wow, this really like opened my mind. Things that you just really don't think about. you know?
Right?
Yeah. I'm going down the rabbit hole.
Uh-huh.
And
Wait.
I'm also what?
Nothing.
What?
You said it.
Anyways, I'm not going down any kind of hole. I am just I'm following a train of thought. I'm chewing right along.
I like that.
Yeah. Anyways, what was I
Yeah.
even gonna say? Well, I wonder at what point in pathology school they actually are you know, unveil the true. But like, I wonder at what point they're like, all right, so we got you this far. This is what you're actually gonna be doing.
So they do take, I think the students who are going to go to school for pathology, they do while they're in school, take them to like cadaver labs and stuff.
I mean, I would assume.
I'm
But
sure
it's like, it's different when you're dealing with like a whole body.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
That's a coroner. No.
So in cadaver labs, do they have just like
I would assume that they
pieces?
would give them practice, like, yeah, practice pieces.
Practice pieces. Practice pieces is what we're calling body parts.
Yep.
In case you...
Yep.
This is a very,
I know, it's creepy in a way you didn't
man.
expect, right? I was like, I'm going to do
Yes.
something creepy, and I, like, couldn't think of anything, and then I was talking with my friend, and I was like, this is what we're doing. And also because I
Wow.
really wanted to describe it like Frankenstein's lab and see what you would come up with or how you would react.
Yeah. Yeah, I was also thinking, I'm like, it's really funny when you think back to like Bones or Rizzoli and Isles, how like their labs are so beautifully lit and they're always lit up. That's the same with Rosewood. It's all beautiful. It's very aesthetic. Like everything's very clean. It's all chic. It's modern. Everything's got all these white backlight, situation going on. And you never actually, you never see what's in those drawers. You know what I mean?
Well, and in
Lots of
Bones, they're
cabinets.
just bones, so they're all
That's
clean
true. That's true. We do know
wonderful.
that they're bones, so they're not worms and or stool and or other things and
He
words
did
that I don't want to
also-
mention.
I was going to say he did also mention getting anal warts in, so that's fun.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I did just say that while you were about to have a sip of rosé. You're welcome.
What?
He said he got 8 anal warts in process that had been cut off somebody's anus.
Oh, God, no. I just don't need the rest of that description.
Well, you didn't respond, so that's what
Because
happened.
it broke me.
So yeah.
I didn't know. I had a secret password, an off switch, and it's that. It's that.
Don't tell me that, because I'll use it again in the future, and you won't like it.
It's the emergency shut off, like with the treadmill,
I wish you guys could have seen her too, because she just completely froze. Like, her face didn't move. Nothing moved. She just froze. And that's why I kept talking, because I'm like, I don't know. Maybe she wants more? Who knows?
Well, no one wants more of that. Goodbye. Oh my God. Beep boop. I'm off.
I was going to say.
I'm done now.
Yep.
Whatever I said.
Yeah. Are you ready to tell me a story? I'm sure your story isn't as traumatizing as my story was.
It's not. Yes, I'm getting there. I'm here.
You gotta get the anal warts out of the brain.
Stop. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't even.
Oh my
I can't even. You know?
god. Ooh. Oh my god. She's still broken, guys. She needs
Just thinking, I'm like, I feel like that's another name for doozy.
She's rebooting slowly.
I'm rebooting, and that was evidence of that.
Yep.
Anyways. Woof. Okay, so, hi.
Hi.
Today, I am going to talk about pirates.
Yay!
Yes. Basically, I was really just wondering recently, like, how real were pirates? When was this going on? Which people were, created by books and stories, such as, like, Treasure Island, and are there actually real people in history, that coincide with this?
Yeah.
As I'm sure, we all wonder at, like, 11 in the morning. Just like,
Huh.
And what about pirates?
You know what's funny, though, is I actually had pirates down as one of my topics, and not just, like, pirates in general, because I was thinking about... So I like playing video games, And, Assassin's Creed has a pirate version.
Mm.
And I had been talking to somebody about the pirate version. I was thinking about it and the infrastructure and the way it's set up in the game. And I'm like, I wonder how the infrastructure actually worked. Because I had to have some level of organization for it to be prevalent for a while. And so, that was one of my topics as well. And also, I have a pirate, which obviously now you're covering, but I have a pirate tattoo, remember?
I do remember. There she is.
Her name is Rosa, and she's the best.
Oh, well, hey, Rosa. Thanks for hanging out with us, girl.
Yeah, always.
I mean, would hate for you to end up in the pathology lab one day.
Why would you make me think that?
One day Rosa might be on her own.
Why would you say that to me?
Now I'm thinking about that about all my tattoos. I'm like,
don't put that evil on me.
These might not be here with me. So, you know what? Tattoos aren't forever, you guys. There's no guarantee.
So it reminds me, real quick, it just reminds me of this horrifying episode of Emergency ER or something like that on like TLC. Yeah, and this guy got in a motorcycle accident and had all of his limbs amputated.
Oh my goodness.
All those amputated limbs went to the pathology lab.
Wow.
Yeah. And then it made me think that, mine, I don't like it. No, they're on me. They have to stay with me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go there, but...
I mean, like, weirdly, I'm okay with the idea of organ donation, but, like, my
I'm like,
up in a pathology lab. I'm
take
like,
my organs, but I don't need any identifying features just being out there in a drawer.
Ooh.
I don't know why that matters afterwards. It doesn't. It just is
the thought. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I am covering pirates, but really it's going to be the story of the king of pirates.
There's a king?
Apparently, there's your infrastructure right there. Apparently there was a king. So, as it turns out, obviously pirates were a very real issue back in the day. For anyone who watched Black Sails, I literally saw one episode because that was before we had internet. And Oh, wait, no.
How did you watch that then?
Sorry, I tried to watch an episode before we had internet, and it got stuck on the opening screen for about 40 minutes, and then I was like, well, gotta go now. Like, that was the time I had allotted for the show. And then we watched the first episode, which, by the way, somewhat of a spoiler. Like, maybe watch the first episode by yourself and, like, not with your parents.
Your parents? Yeah, I already knew that there was gratuitous sex in that.
I did not know that.
Oh. I had heard it from people at work. Because we were talking about
Nobody mentioned that to me. I was told, oh, it's a good show. Oh, you're talking about pirates now. You definitely should watch it. Oh. We all were there. there.
Good.
Yeah.
So just enjoyed a very lovely moment together.
We watched Outlander together, so really it's like we're all adults now. I just would have liked to have known beforehand.
Just mentally prepared yourself.
Had no clue what was about to happen to me. But one of the people that is mentioned even in that first episode was Blackbeard, even though... I don't think you actually meet Blackbeard in the first episode. You kind of do. Don't. I've got to stop. I'm gonna... We're diverting away from Black Sails. We're now into real pirate territory. Okay?
I think I know what you're referring to. Yay!
Oh, my... It was a really hard time in the first world the other day.
Yep, that sounds like it.
Anyways. So, Blackbeard, also known as Edward Teach, sometimes known in certain accounts as Edward Thatch. Not a lot of people were writing, and, English was weird back then. People were like, yeah, I think this is what you mean, and they just kind of wrote down whatever.
Or, I was going to say, or they just spelled things differently. There was no problem with, like, spelling words
Yeah, and it's like, depending on who's saying it or whatever, it's like, you can misinterpret what they're saying, and, Yeah, anyways, whatever. So it's Edward Teach, sometimes known as Edward Thatch, but obviously he's more famously known as Blackbeard. But he's one example of a pirate who is actually a real person. Not much is known about his early life, but but he was one of many pirates that settled on New Providence Island in the Bahamas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So between 1650 and 1720 was the, quote, golden age of piracy. By 1670, over 900 people occupied the settlement of Charlestown in New Providence. Due to ineffective governors, Charlestown was attacked by the French and Spanish navies and became a home base for pirates. But it was eventually destroyed by a Spanish attack in 1684, and then 2 years later, English colonists came from Jamaica and settled the island again and, like, rebuilt it again.
Did they turn it back into a pirate port?
No, this is just English colonists. So it's like, it's kind of, I don't want to say, they're fighting over it, basically.
Oh, okay.
And so, and there's not, and they're, you know, it's a small island, and there's not that many inhabitants, you know, so it's like, then the English are coming in, and they're like, oh, this is mine. And it's like, well, that's debatable. So in 1695, Governor Nicholas Trott rebuilt the town and added a fort and renamed both the town and the fort Nassau, which is what we know now in the Bahamas. That was new information for me. I was like, oh. And then in 1700, 5 years after the town was rebuilt and renamed, the fort was heavily damaged in another Spanish attack.
Ay, ay, ay.
Ay, 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 ay. The colonists eventually abandoned the fort in 1703 after, you guessed it, yet another French and Spanish attack. So it's
that makes sense.
They're just getting their asses beat out there, and they don't like it. And the Spanish and the French can't really decide what's going on, because this was just after King Charles II died. And since he died without any heirs, that led to the War of the Spanish Succession. And this was just part, like, kind of collateral damage in that war. So they're fighting over it. The English trying to come in and do whatever. Meanwhile, a bunch of sailors are really, there's a lot of unrest, so they're defecting and seeking out a new life for themselves. So I'm going to go on a mini tangent, because in my research, I'm like, Charlestown in New Providence? And then obviously it's like, this is just after Charles II died, and I'm like, is this the guy that I know from history?
Yeah, I was wondering that. Please continue.
Yeah. So King Charles II was also referred to as the Bewitched, which is believed to have been because of his appearance. While there was there is actually no physical genetic proof of this, because it was so long ago, but Charles II was widely believed to be the most inbred royal of all time.
Yes, that is who I was thinking of.
Yes, he was part of the Habsburg descendant from the...
Have you ever seen what he looks like? Did you look him up?
Oh, of course. Of course. I stared at his portrait for hours, honestly.
The Habsburg jaw. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yikes.
They named it. Yeah, they all suffered. A lot of the Habsburgs suffered from the Habsburg jaw. Charles's parents were uncle and niece, so that made Charles their great nephew and first cousin once removed, as well as their son. Not a cute look.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this wasn't anything new for them. Obviously, the same, like, physical characteristic was shared throughout members of the family. Charles wasn't anything special in that regard. I mean, it was just very common in the family. So, one quote that I found from historyanswers.co.uk in an article appropriately titled "The Dangers of Royal Inbreeding."
Oh.
was incestuous relationships had become so common in his dynasty and for so long that by the time Charles II was born, he was more inbred than a child whose parents were brother and sister.
Oh my god, that's so disgusting. I mean, he's a person, so I guess maybe he's not disgusting, but that's disgusting.
It's just the whole process. It's the whole system. It's just really upsetting. This was, by the way, 2 centuries of inbreeding in their family. Which is why this is like, oh, for so long, and he's more inbred than a child whose parents are brother and sister. It's because it was 200 years of, like, uncles marrying nieces and, like, and the like. I don't know, man, but it's just not, it's not a good look. Not a good idea, y'all. Not a good idea.
Not unless you want that classic
giant chin.
It makes me think his face looks like what you can imagine is the typical, like, cartoonish witch face with, like, the big nose and the, like, giant chin.
Yeah, he does. Man.
It's rough.
Another nice, it's not nice. Historians Will and Ariel Durant famously described him as short, lame, epileptic, senile, and completely bald before 35. Always on the verge of death, but repeatedly baffling the Christendom by continuing to live.
Oh my god, how old was he when he died?
He was like 38. Yeah.
That's rough.
So that's my end of, like, the King Charles tangent, but I just, like, his name came up so much when I was looking up stuff, and then I was like, oh, this was all happening when he was king, and then I was like, oh, he was king.
Yeah.
I know him. Oh, man. Yeah.
That's so funny, because that's exactly what I was wondering, too. I'm glad you clarified that for me.
Yeah. Okay, so back to New Providence Island. So due to basically everything that was going on, New Providence just became a major home base for pirates. By 1713, there were over 1,000 pirates in Nassau, outnumbering the 400 to 500, like, law-abiding, residents that were already there, living there.
I mean, if it's overrun with pirates, I don't know. I just wonder how many of them just eventually converted to pirating?
Piracy?
That makes more sense. I was going to say piratism.
Pirateering.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, but is that a real word? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's just piracy, but I'm glad that we came up with new words for it. Did I tell you I had a dream? Or no, I had a dream that I was at work, but I wasn't at work, and that my boss was leaving periodically to go paint a cat, like a portrait of a cat named Pirates. That's such a weird dream.
Yeah. I at first...
But it was a cat named Pirates. How cute is that?
So, it's a great name for a cat.
Isn't it, though? And I kept being like, where are they going? Like, we're so busy and I have so many questions. And I would find them in this, like, little room. Like, it was like a supply closet or something. And all that was in there was just an easel with, like, a 6x9 canvas, maybe smaller. They were painting a portrait of a cat named Pirates. And the cat was, like, wearing, like, a little, like a it looks like the concierge shirt or uniform in Animal Crossing. It's like the cat was wearing that. It's just bust up, and
so kind of like Yahtzee's fake portrait with his little
not as
Renaissance
fancy
outfit. Yeah,
not as fancy. Yeah, it just said Pirates across the top, but it looked like I did it. Like it wasn't as nice as Yahtzee's. Anyways, I digress.
Once I get another cat, because we both know it's gonna happen eventually.
Lord.
I plan on getting a black cat named Pirates.
Nice. I approve that message. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So, probably a lot of them did go into piracy. Because of everything that was going on at the time, a lot of sailors were getting fed up with their treatment, wages, being caught up in a war, basically as collateral damage. And at this point, a decent amount of them were defecting and making a life for themselves in the Bahamas, as well as other islands throughout the Caribbean. Madagascar, which I know is not in the Caribbean, but it's another place that they were were active. The colonies, obviously, And basically, you know, a lot of other locations that largely coincided with the transatlantic slave trade, which is not something that's mentioned when we talk about pirates, and it's heavily romanticized. And I'm like, okay, but these are real people that literally looked at this situation and they're like, I'm really mad because I'm being forced to work on this ship where I'm trafficking people and I'm not getting paid enough and I feel like I'm being held captive here on the ship. And I'm like, wow, you really can't see the irony in your situation here, can you? And then they literally leave that situation and they're like, I'm done with this. And then they turn around and they're like, now how can I make this worse? Like, how can I just, like, literally do whatever I want? And by whatever I want, I mean, like, murder and, like, rob and pillage a bunch of fucking people, you know, and torture them and other things, you know? It's like, these people were notorious for a reason, you know, infinite. Like, people, you know, I'm just saying, it's heavily romanticized, and I didn't really, like, ever look into it until now. And now I'm kind of like, meesh, all right.
Now I'm feeling some kind of way about having a pirate tattoo.
Yeah, well, she's fine. Rose is fine. She's on your arm, and, you know, she's not going anywhere. She's not doing anything.
She's just like my inspirational lady tattoo. I don't know.
You're a free spirit, and so is she.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to bash pirates altogether. Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
Okay, well, to defend myself from your allegations of romanticizing pirates.
I mean, I'm not aiming them anywhere.
She's aiming them directly at my heart, guys.
Oh, no. I'm like, what's his name? Is it Cyclops? What's his name? The X-Men dude.
Yeah, it's Cyclops.
It is Cyclops.
The ray straight to my heart.
Yeah, I'm just lifting up my sunglasses and going pew, pew.
So, in my defense, my tattoo is my version of a Heinrich Clay illustration. Heinrich Clay is a famous illustrator that I learned about at art school, and he did a pirate illustration, which I really liked. And then I did my version of a lady. And she was the, you know, inspirational, independent woman. Hoorah, I guess, tattoo. Hoorah? That's probably not right.
I don't know. I'm not in the Marines.
Well, I didn't want to sound like she's in the Marines, because she's not in the Marines either.
Yeah, but she's a Marine lady.
I mean, technically she's an arm lady, because that's where she's always existed.
Yeah, everybody knows how we feel about bodies of water. Rose is on board with us, all right? She's not walking the plank just yet. Anyways, so, okay, so back to Blackbeard, I guess. Yeah. So him and his crews ran operations out of the port of Charlestown in South Carolina, which is now known as Charleston. Yeah, it was at that point that I was like, there's a lot of Charles around here. Yeah. It's very interesting that there's like so much shit named after him, and I kind of want to know why now. So yeah, so a lot of these people who, back to his operations. So by ran operations out of Charlestown, I mean blockaded the port and ransomed its inhabitants. So really, that's another thing, is like people might have defected and become pirates, but it's like they are being occupied by pirates on New Providence Island. So it's not so much as like defecting, it's like, how are you going to survive and deal with the situation? And then you have assholes like Blackbeard showing up and just like shutting everything down.
Yeah.
And ransoming the people. Like, are you kidding? And I'm sure that is the lightest way that they are putting that. I'm sure other weird, nasty shit was going on behind the scenes. It's just... Anyways, so a lot of pirates basically were defective of the British Navy.
And, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they're basically desensitized to the horrors of everything that was going on in the world, I guess.
To be clear, she said horrors, not horrors. Because I heard horrors first, so I know somebody else did, and I needed to clarify for everyone.
Weirdly, I feel like all the pirates that ever existed, like, in unison were offended that you even heard that.
Pirates?
Yeah, no, whores.
No.
Like, we're not
Oh.
desensitized to the whores. And I'm like, get
okay.
back in there. Like, shut up.
Get back in that trunk with all that Aztec gold, guy. Where
Right,
you belong.
Calm down, guy. I don't see no full moon yet. Chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, piracy just kind of feels like this weird, like, treat yourself moment in history. And
It's like, treat yourself to everything terrible and horrible.
yeah, it's like in Fable when they're like, do you want to be good or do you want to be evil? And it's like piracy is like, let's all be evil, yay! Like, it's just okay. So basically, the most treat yourself pirate of all was Henry Every, aka the King of the Pirates. So he was also known as like Henry Avery in some accounts. And had aliases such as John Avery, Long Ben, and Benjamin Bridgman.
I'm sorry, Long Ben?
Long Ben.
I just have a problem with nicknames like that. Like, in Pirates of the Caribbean, and they're like, yeah, I called him Bootstrap Bill Turner. Who the fuck comes up with a nickname like that? That was a dumbass nickname.
He probably got his fucking bootstraps caught in something one day, just like when Ryan set the cheese pita on fire and they called him Fire Guy.
So Long Ben.
We don't need to go into it. I don't know which part of him is long.
Stop. Why would you? Why? You said we don't need to go into it.
I have no idea if he's tall. I don't know if he has like one arm that's longer than the other that like a pathologist one day is like,
Just has stored in their fridge. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we don't know. Maybe he has one long toe. Some people have one long toe.
Do you have one long toe? Is that what I'm inferring? That's a yes.
Doesn't everyone? Don't we all?
Sure. Yeah, we all do.
So, as I'm sure we all knew and assumed already from my previous rants, Avery began his seafaring career with the British Royal Navy and moved on to work on, quote, unlicensed slave ships in the transatlantic slave trade from there.
What makes it unlicensed?
I don't know. I guess there were official slave ships, and then there were people that were like, yeah, we can do this on the side. Sometime in the early 1690s, he began working on a ship named Charles II. Or Charles II. I read it as Charles II. I'm like, it's Charles II. Okay, so Charles II was is now, in this section of the story, a 46-gun Spanish ship that had license to attack French smugglers around Martinique as part of the Spanish expedition shipping expedition.
That is a dumbass name. Please continue.
That is actually what it was called. They called it the Spanish expedition shipping, but it was an expedition. So there's like, oh, it's the Spanish expedition shipping expedition. I was like, why wouldn't you just say Spanish shipping expedition? So I'm going to abbreviate it to SES. So that way we don't have to. It's super sus.
Super sus.
Otherwise, it's going to drive me crazy.
Yep.
Okay, so the SES was an English expedition commissioned by the Spanish, which consisted of 4 warships, one of them obviously being Charles II, Charles T. By early August 1963, the 4 warships were sailing down the River Thames on their way to Spain's northern city of Corunna, or Corunna. I know, it's a triggering word right now, but it's Corunna. Not trying to give anyone Chihuahua.
Yeah. Chihuahua right now.
Yay. Okay, so so they're on their way to Corunna. That none of this sounds nice. I'm so sorry. And the 4 ships were commanded by Admiral Sir Don Arturo O'Byrne. Sir Don Arturo O'Byrne. He is an Irish nobleman who had previously served in the Spanish Navy Marines. The journey to Corunna should have taken... I don't know why I'm talking like a robot. Should have taken 2 weeks. Okay. But for some reason, the ships didn't arrive in Spain until 5 months later. I like how it's just like, for some reason. So
like,
even...
There was no clarification on that?
Not really. They're just like, this is a really... It was just led into as this mysterious thing that happened. But...
Nobody knew why?
Not specifically. But after it had already taken them 5 months to get there, apparently the necessary, documents that they were supposed to have for trade or whatever shenanigans they were up to had apparently failed to arrive from Madrid. So the ships were forced to wait in the port of Corunna instead of carrying on their,
merry way. Yeah.
Pillaging and plundering the French, probably. Because that's what they were literally commissioned to do.
So how long were they trapped there for?
Well, for a while, honestly. I mean, I think so it took them 5 months to get there, weirdly, from not very far away.
Mm-hmm.
And then after a few months in port, so I would say maybe probably 3 months, maybe 2 months. Not a couple,
So, but we're talking...
This is almost a year of their life at
and
this
it was
point.
supposed to be a 2-week trip.
2 week, you're there, you boop, bang, bang, boom, go somewhere else.
Beep, boop, sign off.
Beep, boop, I'm done. After a few months in port, the men petitioned their captain for the pay that they should have received since their employment began. And if this request was granted, the men would no longer have been tied to the ship. They could have easily left. But obviously, the petition was ignored. The sailors' wives went and sent a similar petition to Sir James Houblon in England, who was one of the expedition's main investors, and he also denied their petition. So at this point, it's in their mind, they tried to handle it nicely. They're
They did the things that they were supposed to do.
I used my one piece of paper and my one ink quill to write you this petition, and that's all I had. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's basically, they were we tried to ask nicely. But at this point, also, a lot of the sailors apparently believed that they were being sold into slavery into the Spanish.
Oh.
And either way, really, they had become virtual prisoners in Corunna. They're just stuck in the port. They're stuck on the ship. No one's letting them have any understanding of what's going on. They're not getting paid because they're not making money because they're stuck in the port. It's just this whole weird vicious circle. But sometime during all of that, Henry Every, who was on the Charles with this fleet of 4 ships going through this, was promoted to first mate of the Charles. And the crew looked to him as a leader. He was very respected by them. He had worked up in the ranks over the years, and so he was seen as one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you can imagine, after all this time being stuck in the port, unable to leave the ship, get paid, continue on their journey, obviously these sailors are getting desperate. As the fleet was finally preparing to leave Corunna, the men decided that they demanded their 6 months of pay or threatened to strike. So it's they're getting ready to go, but at this point they're past their breaking point, and they're we're going to be done. So give us our money or else, basically.
Yeah.
So you could say that Sir Houblon was disinclined to acquiesce the request.
Yes.
But the admiral of the fleet, saw the seriousness of the situation and how tense everything was, and so he wrote to England as well and asked, but that wasn't good enough for them. and it wasn't good enough for Every. He began to go ship to ship, persuading men to follow him and carry out his plan to take over the ship, telling them he would carry them where they should get enough money. Because you have to understand, like, also at this point, a lot of these men had worked for other navies or on other ships.
Mm-hmm.
They know what's going on out there on the seas. They know where people are going to and coming from. And it's like
They're the ones that are out there actually making the connections and stuff, not the people in charge.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it right now, but those it's not an NDA. There's like another kind of agreement, confidentiality agreement maybe, but there's like agreements that you have to sign at certain jobs where they're like, you can't do another job in this field for this amount of years
time. Yeah.
after leaving. And I feel like that started here.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
This is like the worst version of the Michael Scott Paper Company. I mean, anyways. Because he had a great deal of experience. And since he did have a lot of experience and was born in a social rank, a lower social rank, he was the natural choice to command the mutiny. Because obviously the crew believed that he had their best interest at heart. So, about a week later, after they were demanding, and threatening to strike, Every began organizing the mutiny with the crew. When Admiral O'Byrne was scheduled to sleep ashore one night, him and his crew used this as their golden opportunity to just get him. So him and a group of 25 men waited until nightfall and rushed aboard the Charles II, catching the onboard crew by surprise, obviously. The captain of the Charles II, Captain Gibson, was asleep at the time, so the mutiny actually succeeded without any violence or bloodshed.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yes. It is very surprising. And, like, so a longboat from another ship in the fleet, the James, is said to have come alongside the Charles II when the mutiny was going down and used a secret message asking, is the drunken boatswain on board, which was their, I don't know if that's how you say that, but it was their, like, signal that the mission had been carried out successfully.
Yeah.
And, they received confirmation and they jumped aboard the crew and they're like, yeah, we're going to take over the ship. And Captain Humphreys of the James, like, reportedly called out to Every to warn him that the men were deserting the crew, and Every just is said to have simply responded with, I know. Which reminds me of, like, Giselle in the little boat, and he's like, they're taking the ship, they're taking the Dauntless.
Oh, yeah. It's gotta be the best pirate I've ever seen.
So it would seem.
God,
I say that all the time, and I always forget what it's from. So it would seem.
It's from Sir Ice Cream Cone.
Sir Ice Cream Cone.
Commodore Norrington.
No, boy.
Now I want to watch that movie again. One of my favorites.
Okay, so after that delightful response from Every, Captain Humphreys ordered the James to fire on the Charles II, forcing them to sail out of the port and into the night. So they sailed out far enough to be safe from the port, but still close enough to shore to let those, like, non-conspirators
to, like, swim,
go ashore if they choose. Yeah. So they describe this, which I think is interesting, of Every. They're like, he's a reasonable guy. He just wants to get paid. He's just trying to help out his crew, and they're desperate.
He sounds like a manipulative guy.
Yeah, that much I can definitely agree with. But it's like he's painted in this weird light at first, and it's like, the only person they did take, like, one person captive, and that was the ship's surgeon.
Smart.
Yeah. Can't argue really there. I'm like,
I mean, I bet he didn't.
You're gonna
do
need
much.
one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
Ships are weird, and the ocean, gah.
But they didn't have a pathology lab on board.
The unfortunate thing is they probably did. They probably just didn't call it a pathology lab.
They probably called it like the Arm Bay or some shit like that.
Something. So yeah, they took the ship's surgeon captive, and now, funnily enough, their original mission for their expedition was very similar to being a pirate. They're basically the Spanish is like passing them some money under the table, and they're like, "Yo, if y'all go over here and just like
fuck with
blow up
France.
these French people, we would really appreciate it. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Here's a $20 bill." And that's their goal. It's like they're paying them to literally be what we now like think of as pirates. So it wasn't hard for Every to like convince everybody like, hey, why don't we just do this for ourselves?
Yeah, since we're already gonna do it anyways.
Exactly.
And instead of it benefiting the lords and the the rich people,
government,
they're benefiting themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like in a weird way that's not super.
It wasn't such
direct.
I was gonna say it wasn't such a hard leap for them to make.
Exactly.
Like, we were already gonna do it, but it was gonna benefit them, so why don't we just do it and benefit us?
Exactly.
Benefit ourselves.
So obviously, like I said, they were so desperate to make a living. Conveniently happened to have all of this knowledge of like major shipping routes and trade that was happening at the time, and they were trained by the British Royal Navy, so they knew what the fuck they were doing. Okay, when you talk about infrastructure, it's like they really knew how to do it. They're just like, oh, we're gonna like do this privately, and we're also gonna fuck with everybody because we can now.
Because
that's what we're doing.
Fuck everyone because we got fucked. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, obviously, they took the Charles II, so they, like, Grand Theft Auto'd this British Royal Navy ship. They just Grand Theft shipped it.
Yeah, that's what I was like, is it Grand Theft Navaled? Nope, don't like that. Just kidding.
I don't like it either. Anyways, they stole a ship that was commissioned by the Spanish, so, like, at this point, already, before he's like, guys, this is how we move forward, there's no turning back. You've pissed off two governments at the same time. And it's like, at this point, things were on the brink of war, but Charles II hadn't actually died yet. And, it's just, there's this contentious energy there anyways.
Yeah. It's called a powder keg.
Exactly. So, what do you think you do when you get your first pirate ship? What do you think the first thing that you do is?
Roll around in a bunch of gold coins?
No, you just got your first pirate ship. You haven't done any pirating yet. You just commandeered one.
You just, you drink a lot of rum.
No, that's if you get marooned. The first thing you do when you pirate a new pirate ship is you get to name your new pirate ship.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay? So with a name like Charles II/Charles II, the poor ship was obviously begging for a fresh start, and Henry Every sensed this, obviously. She was a nice ship. And Henry thought that she looked real fancy.
Oh my god, wait, what's the name?
That's what he named her.
No.
Just one word. Fancy. Like Prince. Or Cher.
Oh my god. Why were they so bad at naming things back then?
They were. Oh my god, I've got more pirate ship names. I swear to god. Oh. No. I don't even know. But fancy. So I think Charles T was a little better than fancy, but fancy.
All right, gents, let's go get aboard the Fancy. Like, what the?
Yeah, and like to be the king of pirates, fancy.
I know. At least the Black Pearl sounds like beautiful yet ominous. But this,
like,
the Fancy.
So from then on, the ship was named Fancy, and also, Every's career as a pirate just took off. Obviously, he was literally trained to be a pirate by the military, and much like an Irish farmer, he was outstanding in his own field.
I really liked that. Good job.
That was just for you. And everyone else who enjoyed it. Haters gonna hate. Anyways.
But mainly for me. It's fine.
It was really just for you. So, all of this, mutiny and stealing ship and everything is happening in like the end, or like it was happening around like 1693 or 1694. I think when they left to go to Corunna, it was like 1693.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time this is happening, obviously, like this has been like a year later. So then he was starting his pirate career in 1694. So by 1695, a year after he became a pirate, Every had stripped away some of like the superstructure of the ship, which made it one of the fastest vessels sailing the Atlantic at the time.
Nigh uncatchable.
I was gonna say. So for comparison, the Charles II, was the power in those waters, sure enough. But none can match the fancy for speed. Or, of course, I'm sorry, it's just, but none can match fancy. Mm-hmm. All right. So about a year after he, was indoctrinated into the world of piracy, I suppose. Not a good word.
Was he really indoctrinated? Because I feel like there has to be doctrine and rules for you to be indoctrinated. Converted?
Yes, converted. A year after he converted.
He anamorphed into a pirate.
Yes, so about a year after he anamorphed into a pirate, he had already gotten fancy to be the fastest. He fast and furioused her.
Yeah. Okay? Yes.
Yeah, souped her up. All right. And then he also got a crew of 150 men. And he had his sights set on a fleet that was said to be near the island of Perim, which was reported to be the richest fleet in Asia, perhaps in the entire world. It was believed that any pirates who managed to capture it would have been the perpetrators of the world's most profitable pirate raid.
So was that all true, or was it just their imagination?
This was how he got his crew and what his goal was.
Okay.
He had a mood board about it, a vision board, if you will. That's really the word that I'm looking for.
He manifested it,
No, he definitely manifested it. So the fleet that him and his crew were seeking out were the ships of the Muslim Mughal Empire, which was one of the richest empires in the world at the time. Surat was the wealthiest port in 17th century India. Ooh. And at 1,600 tons, the Ganjisway, meaning infinite treasure. But it was the largest armed Mughal ship in the port of Surat. Not only was the ship the largest trading ship, but the Ganjisway was designed to bring pilgrims to Mecca and was able to carry over 600 passengers.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of people.
Yes. So it was designated to bring trade from India and to protect all of the people and their profits in the process. It was also armed with 80 cannons and a 400-man guard.
So still, though, more civilians than
guard, but it's like you have to think about this giant ship with the capacity to hold all these things. Like, it's not just the people, that you're having on the ship. It's also, like, the armed aspect, okay? And then pile on top of that the ship is being used for trade. Like, this is a huge ship for the time period, So the ship traveled in a convoy of 25 Grand Mughal ships, including another ship which was 600 tons called Fateh Muhammad, which had belonged to Abdul Ghaffar, who was Surat's wealthiest merchant at the time.
It was definitely a treasure trove for pirates.
Yeah. And this was a massive undertaking for Every, and his plan here really is to just get the most he can for him and his crew, like at a one-stop shop, obviously. Obviously, it's also highly problematic because he's not only targeting a major contributor to the Indian economy, but a religious pilgrimage, putting hundreds of innocent people in danger.
Yeah.
So, to accomplish this raid, Every teamed up with 5 other pirate captains. And here is the list of the pirate captains and the names of their ships. Are you
Oh,
ready?
Yes. I'm so ready.
Okay. 2 on the sloop of war ship called Amity. And yes, his name is 2.
Oh, that was a name. I thought you were
Yes.
saying 2 people.
I knew you would. That's why I
Okay.
had to say it.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So 2
On the Amityville
On the
horror
Amity.
ship. Yep.
basically.
Mhm.
Joseph Farrow on the Portsmouth Adventure.
That sounds like a Disney ride. Continue.
It does. It does. Yeah. Richard Want on the Dolphin.
Okay. I feel like he might have been on a lot of drugs when he named that.
Or maybe he just saw a dolphin. William Mays, aka he's also known as William May, and it's confusing because I think there was a William May or Mays on their ship, and there was a lot of like, there's a couple articles that were like, no, not William Mays the captain. There's also was another guy named William Mays. Like there's Captain William Mays, and then there's this guy too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which like give the other guy like a nickname or something. But yeah, he was on the Pearl.
Oh. Hey.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
If only it were black. Anyways.
Anyways. And then there's Thomas Wake on the Susanna. Probably an X.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got Amity, Portsmouth Adventure, Dolphin, Pearl, Susanna, and Fancy. So despite 2, aka Captain of the Amity, having more experience, dishing it out on the high seas than Every did, obviously Every's only been at it for a year now when you think about it, and how long it takes to actually sail from place to place. Like, that's not that long of a
That
time.
much, yeah.
Yeah. So they still voted for Every to be admiral of the flotilla, so he was in charge of everybody. But so he went from his 150-person crew, who he was like, I need to get the biggest treasure I can, so that way we all make bank. And now he's up to 440 crew members between the 6 vessels.
Which is more than the guard on that one ship.
Just barely. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but it's also when you think about the division of the treasure, so to speak, they are, or the assets or whatever, now it's even
It's
less.
even less, yeah.
Yeah. So they had spotted the convoy of the 25 Grand Mughal ships en route to Surat, and that's when they began to put their plan in action. The pirate fleet that Every led pursued the convoy. The Amity and the Dolphin were lost in the pursuit, but about 4 days later, pirates aboard Fancy, Portsmouth Adventure, and Susanna caught up with Fateh Muhammad, which is the smaller armed ship.
What happened to the other 2 ships? They just disappeared on accident?
They had issues. I think the Amity was attacked, and so some of the crew survived and joined the other ships. And the Dolphin was just so slow that they left it behind. That they literally ditched it. They were like, nope,
right.
Everybody else come on these ships, and fuck that ship. We're just going to leave that there.
Should have been named the Tortoise.
Really should have. Or, I mean, a slow... Yeah. So the 4 ships caught up to Fateh Muhammad, and Fateh Muhammad's crew put up little resistance. They had already had a confrontation with the Amity. And Every's pirates were able to sack the ship.
Oy.
The fortune that they recovered from Fateh Muhammad was enough to buy Fancy 50 times over, but since you're splitting it equally amongst the entire crew, they were still desperate for a bigger payout. So now they turn their attention to Ganj Sui. And at this point, there are 2 ships down, the Amity and the Dolphin. They're also down crew members as well after the confrontation with the Amity.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you mentioned the 400-man crew, and they had 80 cannons that was on this one ship, and they're also carrying 600 civilians home from Mecca. So they were outnumbered by a lot, mostly by civilians, but still, this is a gamble. They're just,
And they're ruthless and desperate.
yep. Every opened fire from Fancy on the Ganges and with a lucky shot took down the ship's main mast. So the Ganges was unable to escape. Fancy drew alongside it. For a moment, they had a sort of volley of the musket fire, which prevented the pirates from climbing aboard. But then one of Ganges' cannons exploded. So not only did they get a lucky shot with the mast, but then one of the cannons exploded, instantly killing many of their crew, obviously demoralizing them. They had to go down and start put out fires. And so, like, they are just like, holy shit. And we're getting attacked. Like, a lot of them are just freaking out. And anyways, I'm just saying. It's a crazy scene that's happening. Plus, Every and his men are, like, trying to attack the ship. So also, it's just really unfortunate how that played out.
Also, it's so crazy when, like, literal coincidences play that much into history. I don't know. I always think about that kind of stuff where it's like, if they had just shot, like, a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, they wouldn't have knocked it. Maybe they could have gotten away,
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, they obviously, like, took advantage of, like, all of the confusion and everything that was going on, quickly scaled Ganges' sides, of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so this is just the crew that was on the Fancy. The Pearl is, like, chilling and was hesitant to join the crew on deck, but once they started boarding, then the Pearl started going over too,
Okay.
However way they do that with their ropes or whatever, pulling alongside, they started climbing onto the ship as well. So then it's what is said, I'm just going to read this little quote. A ferocious hand-to-hand battle then ensued, lasting 2 to 3 hours.
Oy.
So this was like a for real battle.
This is like, that's a tiring ass battle too.
And there's a fuck ton of people on one boat. According to Muhammad Hashim Kafi Khan, I'm probably saying that wrong. So Kafi Khan is a contemporary Indian historian who was in Surat at the time. And here's a couple of quotes. Is the victorious pirates subjected their captives to an orgy of horror that lasted several days.
No, I don't like any of those words.
You're not going to like this next bit.
Okay, great. I'm really glad I tortured you with anal warts before. Continue.
I deserve that mention of... Yes, so they're on the ship for several days, raping and killing their terrified prisoners on deck by deck.
Yay!
Deck by deck, yes. Supposedly this was all in an effort, and I'm sorry. Supposedly this was all in an effort to find out where the treasure was hidden on the ship. So they were trying to basically torture everyone they could, so that way they could get all of the money off the ship. Again, they're terrible people. Like, this is just awful.
I was going to say, civilians aren't going to know that shit.
Yeah. The majority of the people on that ship had no information to give and were subject to this horrific attack.
Joy.
Yeah, no, not joy. The opposite of that, actually. You're probably not going to like this, and I would hope not, but also it's just more bad, and then we're going to be done. Some of the Muslim women committed suicide to avoid violation, and those who didn't kill themselves or die from being tortured by the pirates were taken captive aboard Fancy.
For how long?
They just were taken.
Oh.
They said that they left some people on the ship, but some people they just took, which is interesting later. This is in 1695, so this is, like, escalated very quickly with Every. And the governor of Bombay, Sir John Gayr, who was president of the East India Company, sent a letter on October 12th to the Lords of Trade, writing, "It is certain the pirates, which these people affirm were all English, did do very barbarously by the people of the Ganges and Abdul Ghafar's ship to make them confess where the money was. So this is just like
I don't like
evidence that someone is like, yes, this happened, and these were English people, and this is a terrible thing that they've done. So the amount that they stole from the Ganges totaled between 200,000 and 600,000 pounds, including 500,000 gold and silver pieces. Now,
So that's in back then money?
yes, I tried to find
Okay.
a converter to compare how much that would be today,
Okay.
but I could only find one from about 1750. So
That's close enough.
it's close. 100 pounds in 1750. So 100 pounds is about 22,000 pounds.
Which is about $45,000.
Yes. So that their haul today would be about 138 million pounds or
Oh.
$275 million.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a huge deal. This is a
That's
huge,
insane.
huge deal. And I think maybe I'm not stressing that enough. This is such a big deal. Like, that was a major, major trade route for India. That was their big thing. They were like, we have a good system. We take our people there, we trade there, we take our people back. Like, they had a good system. Yeah, so this incident almost ended their colonization. They
Well,
didn't
I can
end their
imagine.
colonization. Yeah, but like that wasn't over until 150 years after this event. And this almost ended it. This one situation, and it's just this one dude who just escalates and escalates and escalates. You know, it's like he gets all these people, they take a ship, and they're like, yeah, cool, we took a ship. Now let's get with other ships and let's try to get the most money that we could ever get.
Okay, not to sound like terrible, but like I feel like most terrible things start with it's just this one dude.
No, that is exactly how most things start with. It's so crazy what people are capable of in every sense of that.
And people fail to see how like it affects like you're saying, like global politics. Because not only is it messing with
so much.
I was gonna say, because not only is it messing with England, his piracy is messing with England and Spain, and then I'm assuming they probably didn't have problems, going after the French either. And then these are English citizens going to India and killing and torturing and stealing.
Yeah.
A bunch.
Yeah, this was basically seen as like the first like terrorist attack, I want to say. Like an attack from like an organized group that's not affiliated like with a specific government. And this was such a big deal. That whole thing, if for people who have seen Black Flags, that first frame where it says that pirates were declared enemies of the human race, okay? That was because of Henry Every. Parliament declared that. Yeah, Parliament declared that. Let me see. Yeah, because they were about to get kicked out of India. Literally, Emperor Aurangzeb was closed 4 of the East India Trading Company's factories in England and imprisoned the officers, nearly ordered an armed attack against the English city of Bombay with the goal of forever expelling the English from India because of this attack. Like, when news of this made its way back to Surat, like, this was a sacrilegious act. This was considered an unforgivable violation of the Hajj. Like, this news spread so quickly. And the East India Trading Company had seen their total annual imports like drop from 800,000 pounds in 1684 to 30,000 pounds in 1695. And his attack threatened all of that. Like, 30,000 pounds, that's nothing. And I mean, obviously, converter-wise, you kind of have to go back to that method and do some multiplication in there. But it's like from 800,000 down to 30,000, like, That's a crash right there. And he was right there at the right time. This literally was such a big deal. And that's my
like,
point.
I think it's like going from 800,000 to 30,000. 30,000 is 3.75% of that income.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
why I was on my phone because I wanted to do the math.
Yeah.
Because that's intense. That's a
Yeah.
huge loss. And then we're not like, and then that's excluding the like, you know, loss of human life and all that fun stuff too.
I didn't read anything specifically that was like this was the world's like this is the first globally recognized terrorist attack, because obviously they didn't have that verbiage back then.
Yeah.
But this is how they treated. So to appease Emperor Aurangzeb, like that's when Parliament declared pirates hostis humani generis, or I don't know how to speak Latin, or enemies of the human race. Like they did that because they're like, I'm sorry they were English, but like that's not us. Like these are terrorists. I'm sorry. Like that's another way of saying terrorists. But you know, it's just Every was the subject of the first worldwide manhunt.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. And the East India Trading Company, the reward that they had set for him was 500-pound bounty, which would have been about 250, like $250,000
Dang.
for his head. And then they upped it to $500,000 or 100,000 pounds at the time, because they really wanted to get him. The crown. It just says the crown, but it's like obviously we know who that is.
It's the English.
The crown. I love how it's like Charles II, whoever else, and then it's like the crown.
The crown.
Whoever but I didn't look it up. I don't know who was ruling at the time. Sorry. All right, so Every was nearly captured a year later or a few years later in Jamaica or near Jamaica. But he escaped before he could be caught and tried. His crew and him was never seen or heard from again. But they are, like, legit. They were declared, like, the richest pirates of all time. Like, this was insane. Obviously, could have brought down 2 different economies at once. And it said that each man is said to receive 1,000 pounds from this loot, which would be $500,000. And so that's like for 500 people or so, probably like 400 people involved in that, and they're all walking away with $500,000.
That's intense.
That's a pretty big deal back then. Like, whoa. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's like that is a pretty big deal. Obviously, it was more money than any of them could have hoped to make in their lifetime as a sailor.
Yeah, that's true.
But obviously, you know, now they're wanted.
I was gonna say, so you said that the crew and was never heard from again. Like, nope. How did they do that? How did they just
scattered like rats? You know, they just went into their little holes.
God, it would be so interesting to find out like who was able to like build, you know, empires or companies or whatever based off of that money.
Yo, that is some real talk right there.
Right?
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, I was instilling where my mind went.
Yeah, no, because several sailed to the North American colonies, and you know, it's like said that they bribed the governor of Pennsylvania for his protection. So I find that interesting because this was like 1696 and they're bribing the governor of Pennsylvania. So now that you mention this, I'm like, so was our country founded by pirates?
I mean,
did they just like change their names?
I feel like it's gotta be somewhat likely. Yeah.
Long Ben? Is he Ben Franklin?
Wait, when was Ben Franklin alive? Because I don't think that fits.
I don't think it does either, and I'm just being ridiculous, but I'm just saying, I think it's really funny that they bribed the governor of Pennsylvania. They're like, please let us stay here, and also, do you need us to run things?
Yeah. Do you want money to establish things? Or,
oh my gosh.
or hi, pirates that became pirates to get out from under the British rule, then settle in a country that has a revolution to get out from under the British rule.
Oh my god, it's all making so much fucking sense now. Oh.
Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. So yeah, so that's Henry Every. I mean, he was never found. People believe different things. That I now believe he's one of our founding fathers. So if anyone else is with
Or
me on that,
one of the founding fathers, you know.
Something. I am questioning a lot of things at the moment, but yeah, some people believe that he lived a life of poverty and died after being cheated out of his wealth, which, like,
no, he seems way too smart for that shit.
yeah, I mean, like, look how the rest of his life has gone. You think all of a sudden he was gonna be cheated out of his wealth? Okay.
Yeah, no.
Others think that if he was living in poverty, he would have been captured on warrants much easier, which makes also
More
some sense.
sense.
Yes. I mean, just saying, you know, other stuff that people say about him is, oh, this one's gross. Sorry. That he, quote, found something more pleasing than jewels on the Ganges way. AKA, he obviously, like, kidnapped a female person.
I don't like that.
Yes. Also,
why did somebody have to write it like that?
you know, that's a great fucking question, actually. The grossness of it was like, that is actually how disgusting this makes me feel. And it probably is what happened, so.
It probably reflects the disgustingness level of that potential situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah.
Yeah.
Also, had a son with her.
But
His
this
name...
is just a theory, right? We don't know that it's true.
No, this is a person.
Oh. What? I thought you said it was a theory.
No, they're saying that she was from the Ganges Way, but she might not be. But people think that she was. And they had a son named Tom. He went on to carve out his own little pirate kingdom for himself in eastern Madagascar. But yeah, that's it. I don't have anything else on Henry Every. He was never captured or tried. And that's just the story of Henry Every, aka the King of the Pirates, aka fucking Long Ben.
Henry Every, every man's worst nightmare.
Ugh, everybody's worst nightmare. That's just, yeah, so, or the King of the Pirates, man. So terrible, so bad, so not cute, not a cute look. It's just, I'm so sorry about saying all this. I wasn't thinking about the fact that you had a pirate tattoo when I did this research. So, Rosa is not, she's not included.
Rosa's the only cool pirate, guys, okay?
She's the only one in existence. I'm so
She's the only one that matters.
So what'd you think?
That was a very interesting and terrible story about pirates.
It's just, yeah, it's a deep dark hole, you know, and it's one of those ones where I was like, oh yeah, pirates, because even I was like, oh, pirates are cool, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean, that's so funny, that's so great, and it's like, honestly, I really did not think seriously about pirates until now. I did not actually consider, A, where they came from, how they realistically knew shit that was going on, and also what they did with that information. I didn't consider it. And this is just like, oh, a wake-up call for yours truly. And maybe some other people too. But, yeah. And also, pathology. Who knew? Am I right?
Whew. Oh, the things we don't think about.
I know.
I feel like that's what this podcast is becoming. It's like the things we vaguely think about, and then when you really research it, you're like, ooh.
I know,
that's
and you're
rough.
like, that's why I didn't know about this, because I didn't want to on a subconscious level.
Exactly.
So, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our deep dives this week. Yours was nuts.
Our deep dive. Yeah, there you go.
What's a pirate's favorite letter?
R.
It'd be the C.
Ah! I love it so much. I'm gonna tell that to Evie. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah, you should. She'll like it.
That was good.
Man, I got you with that one. I got you with the Irishman being outstanding in his own field.
I was gonna say that was a good one too.
Okay, that one was for Dad too. But
I mean, yes, it's for the.
it's for all of us, for the fam.
That was a lot. That was a lot to unpack. I think it was a good episode though.
Yeah,
We did
Yeah.
two very different things.
two very different things.
Wait,
But-
you didn't see mine coming, did you?
Not at all. Not at all. It wasn't until the leg shooting blood and pus on said person that I was like, oh, that's just crazy. I'm gonna have to talk to him. Gonna have to reach out after this and be like,
Yeah.
hey, are you okay? Sarah told me you were getting into some wild and crazy things.
I know. It's like that's the thing. If you like describe it without the like lab aspect. Oh yeah, my job, there's just a shelf full of eyeballs. I gotta process 10 placentas.
Oh no.
And then I need to organize the fridge of legs. It's just a busy day for me.
Wow. How unorganized can they get?
I did not mean to cackle that loud, but like it just happened.
But yay. So awesome. So
Yeah.
if you guys enjoyed this, or if you like us, or, if you're cool,
Please like us.
please like us. You can find us, obviously, on Spotify or Apple or other things as well, or Anchor, on Instagram. On Instagram, we are wanderlust.pod. We have a Twitter. Until I start tweeting, I'm going to stop mentioning it, so...
Yeah.
You can listen to earlier episodes and try to tweet us, and maybe we'll have like an archive of tweets. That would be cute, a little time capsule. But we're not really on Twitter.
I mean, if somebody said something to us, I would see it.
It's
I just
at
don't use
Pod
Twitter.
Wanderlust. We're both scared of Twitter. Okay, so be nice to us, please.
Sorry.
We're scared. And then we have the Wanderlust podcast at gmail.com. If you guys want to send us ideas for stories or emails in general, that's
Yep.
pretty much it. Thanks
Beep
for
boop,
hanging out with
signing
us. Beep boop. Signing off.
Yes.